Welcome to today's edition of Digital World. Today it's brought to you from the backdrop of one of the most beautiful icons, Sydney Opera House. More importantly, today's session is dealing with the process of vendor and solution selection in a digital world. The digital world, as many of you would know, is forcing many, if not all organizations to rethink and reevaluate every single traditional business process across every part of the business. One of those processes that I believe is important, that's often overlooked, which is the selection of the right fit solution to help with those digital transformations themselves. Basically, there is 4 key trends that I'm going to be talking about, which is portrays to you the importance of why we need to rethink this process. And number one, it's the enormous amount of data that's available to individuals, departments, organizations. Thanks to the internet, it's so easy for anybody to be able to publish. Interestingly, this is a piece of, this is a great example actually, publishing this piece of information here. You can easily, record, things like that, or write an article, publish it on a blog, or in this case, LinkedIn and so on and so forth, and make that available and accessible to so many users. And number 2 is the explosion in the categories and the subcategories, coupled with the vendors and number of choices in vendors and startups and established vendors and so on and so forth. Thanks to the cloud, of course, this is a lot easier today to launch a new solution on a category or a subcategory and make it accessible via digital means to millions of users across the globe. Number 3 is the diversity in the delivery models themselves. I mean, no longer you're restricted to an on-premises delivery model. We have hybrids, we have SaaS, we have as a service, managed, assisted, and so on and so forth. We also have the diversity of the commercial models. No longer are we restricted to perpetual. Now we have subscription, consumption-based, utility-based models available to us, which is, when you put all of these things together, it demands a new approach, a rethink, if you want, of that digital process. I'm going to look at some of the sources of that data that's available to us and how to navigate some of these things. If you think, to help us do that, I'm just going to look at an analogy on the side, which is navigating the news and cycle media. Of course, in the news media, there is established news agencies, think of the Times, Washington Post, and the Sydney Morning Herald, and the Australian, and the Daily Telegraphs, and the Guardian, and the Mirrors, and so on and so forth, Huffington Post. Of course, these are established the news agencies. Most people sort of look at them, they think they've got a process to it. Likewise, in the digital world, we have the established analyst firms, things like Gartner and Forrester and IDC and Ovum and EMA and 451 Research and Aberdeen, to name a few of those. And the good thing about those, like the news and media, at least there's some level of a process that's available to you. Of course, the quality of the research is highly dependent on the quality of the analysts and the peer review, as well as some potentially the biases those vendors, those research firms can bring to them, just like in the news and the media agencies. In addition to that, we have in the media world the freelance journalists, where they can go and write articles. In the past, they'll have to go and sell them to one of those established ones. In the digital world, they can publish them very easily online, make them accessible, available, searchable to millions of users. Likewise, in the digital world and the vendor and the business world, we have boutique analyst firms. In my world, there is at least two examples. There's many others, but Research in Action, run by Dr. Thomas Mendel. Interestingly, he used to be an ex research analyst at Forrester. We have analysts like Jason Bloomberg from Intellect, who specializes in digital transformation, providing their commentaries, their views, their analysis in order to help organizations just like yourselves make better informed decisions. But in the digital world, there's so much more information available and accessible. Things like online forums, Quora as an example, LinkedIn groups. People can go and put any questions that they can think of available, and you find experts answering those anonymously and available. So it's a great source of information if you can digest it and then spend time to look into it. There's also, user review sites, things like IT Central Station and G2 Crowd, where it's meant to have anonymous user reviews about the pros and cons of using a certain solution. Again, another source rich source of content that's available. And there's dedicated sites as well in my world of application digital performance. There's APM Digest, for instance. a huge amount of data available on that site, from analyst information to case study information to use cases to analysis on the various approaches and solutions available to you. When you put all of that together, it's a huge amount of data that you need to digest. So I put some 3 high-level recommendations that I think is accessible, at least it's applicable to I think most organizations. Number 1 is at least start with a high-level view of the key business requirements that you are facing or you would be facing in your own organization, rather than starting with the feature and functions that will set you. Start with the decision-making processes. What are the processes that you're transforming? Who are the people who are going to be using those processes? How is it going to speed it up, improve the quality? That kind of top-down understanding is an important aspect, I think, in this digital world. And the second one, which is very, very important in the digital world, is look beyond just the immediate requirements. So easy as you're moving really, really fast to be able to select something very quickly. Sometimes it's important, but at other times it's important to also look beyond just the immediate. Because if you just do that repeatedly, the problem is that you build business and technical debts that could be very costly to be dealing with later on. And finally, unlike in the news world where eyewitness news, if you want to get to the bottom of it yourself, the best way of doing it is going and speaking to the people physically. In the digital world, you can try things for yourself. That problem doesn't exist. You can download stuff, you can try it, you can see if it works for you. But my recommendation is take a use-centric, use case-centric approach rather than a feature-centric approach to it. I hope you found this useful. If you have any question, commentary, agree or disagree, violently agree or violently disagree, happy to take any and all comments. If you have any ideas for future sessions, also happy to take those. Thank you, and if I don't have another session, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks.